This is Future Archive. The year is 2099. Humanity has turned its eyes to Mars, a world that once belonged only to science fiction, to dreamers, and to astronomers peering through ancient telescopes. Now, it has become the last refuge of a species that nearly lost its home. For millennia, we believed Earth would always provide. Its rivers carved our histories, its mountains stood as eternal guardians, its skies held the promise of tomorrow. Yet the seas rose higher each year, swallowing coasts and cities. Forests became deserts, crops withered. Storms tore across continents with unrelenting fury. By the end of the 21st century, billions were displaced, borders collapsed, nations fractured, and from the ruins of old civilizations came a desperate decision. If Earth could no longer carry us, then we must learn to live among the stars. Among those who left were families from Istanbul, a city once called the Jewel of Empires, the bridge between East and West. They carried within them the memories of the Bosphorus at sunrise, the call of seagulls above the Golden Horn, and the silent majesty of Hagia Sophia. But these memories were not enough to feed children, not enough to keep cities above the waves. So they boarded great silver ships, leaving behind everything they had ever known, and set their course for Mars. The journey was long and unforgiving. Months passed in the void, where sunlight faded and the silence pressed against the walls of their vessels. Children drew Earth on scraps of paper, clinging to stories of seas and forests they would never see again. Parents whispered lullabies from their homeland, trying to make metal corridors feel like home, and always ahead of them lay the red planet, cold, airless, and waiting. When the first ships descended through the thin Martian sky, humanity stepped onto new soil. Dust rose like smoke around their boots. The air was poison, the temperature merciless. Yet in that barren silence, the settlers declared a beginning. They raised domes of glass and steel, fragile lungs pressed against the lifeless world. Inside, they planted the seeds of survival. They named their settlement New Anatolia. Life beneath the domes was harsh, but memory gave it meaning. Machines provided oxygen, filtered water, and artificial sunlight. Engineers labored day and night, coaxing crops from hydroponic farms, drawing ice from hidden stone, building warmth from the planet's core. Yet it was culture that kept the people alive. In the heart of the colony stood a miniature maiden's tower, glowing under artificial dawn. Around it children gathered, listening to stories of Istanbul, stories of rivers and bridges that had been lost to the sea. And planted firmly in Martian dust stood the first Turkish flag, its fabric unmoving, its meaning unshaken. A new generation was born here. The Crimson Children. Children who would never walk upon Earth's soil. They grew up chasing each other in corridors tuned to 1/3 gravity, their laughter echoing against the domes. They learned to play beneath a sky with 2 moons, not one. Their games were different, their physics strange, yet their hearts carried the weight of stories from a world they had never seen. Teachers projected constellations onto the domes, so that even here, far from home, Orion and the Great Bear could still rise above them. New Anatolia endured. Crops climbed in vertical gardens. Engineers harnessed solar fields stretching across the dust. Farmers sowed barley in synthetic foam. Markets opened in echoing halls where voices mixed Turkish, Martian, and the new dialects of the stars. Musicians shaped instruments from recycled metal, and their songs wove the old with the new. In the evenings, elders gathered the children and told them of the Bosphorus, of fairies and fish, of a city that once glowed at the edge of 2 continents. The children listened wide-eyed, knowing they would never see the place their grandparents still called home. Yet questions remained. What does it mean to be human when home is lost? Can culture survive on borrowed soil? Will the Crimson Children of Anatolia forget the lands of their ancestors, or will they carry them as embers across the centuries? Some dream of returning, of ships that will one day retrace the journey, not away from Earth, but back to it. Others believe Earth must be left to heal, its wounds too deep, its time too fragile. But the archive remembers. This is their story. Humanity has survived the leaving. Now comes the harder task, the becoming. And the children of Mars, children who laugh beneath artificial skies, who plant seeds in alien soil, who dream in both Turkish and starlight, may one day decide whether the blue planet will remain a memory or bloom again.